despite heavy medication because I didn't have bipolar, basically. And they observed me for about 2 weeks, didn't interact with me at all. And I was like, they're not doing anything in here, I just want to go home. And then they sat me down and said, we've been just observing you because that's like how we're going to sort of diagnose you with interacting with other people and stuff. And we are telling you now that you are autistic. And that we strongly suspect that you've got ADHD, but that you're going to have to go on the waiting list for an ADHD diagnosis. We can't do that here. Okay. So I got my autism diagnosis from the psychiatrist, and then I was home. Everything changed for me from that point. My life completely changed. Like, I honestly was on the road to nowhere. I was taking substances, a lot of substances. I was drinking a lot. Yeah. I didn't know myself. I was being a substandard parent. You know, I was doing the bare minimum for my child, really. Yeah. You know, I was so impatient. I was losing my shit all the time. I was like, because I was really emotionally dysregulated. And I just thought I was a bad person, and I was a nasty person, and I was an angry person. I had a bad temper, and that's what I've been told all my life. And ever since, my life has changed exponentially since getting that diagnosis. I am an amazing, me and my son are so close. Like, he's 20 years old now, so he was like 14 then, you know what I mean? And it was, you know, it was a rocky time for him anyway at 40. Like, when he was very, very little, it was just me and him, and I managed. I'm not saying I was a really bad parent, but I wasn't the parent that I wanted to be, you know what I mean? And honestly, it's life changing, but I have still got the echoes of those labels that I was given as a child, and they still affect me, even though I know that I'm autistic, and even though I know I've got ADHD, and even though I know that it's not an excuse for certain behaviours, but it's a reason for things, that I still like berate myself, and then I have to like check myself and say, actually, you are emotionally dysregulated. You're in the middle of the supermarket and you haven't got any ear protection. So I wear ear defenders in public, and I don't give a shit what anyone thinks about that. I'm not embarrassed whatsoever because I can't go out in public. But I spent years doing that, going out in public. But then I'd come home and I'd get drunk because I was so overwhelmed. Yeah, man. Or I would go out and I would get high because I was so completely overwhelmed by the world around me. Yeah. And I don't. And ever since the day I got told I'm autistic, I have not touched drugs. See, that was me to start with, because I got my diagnosis. Yeah, I still do, but I stopped drinking because, and also for me, like I only did other things when I drank. But then when I stopped drinking, I would do other things, including my ADHD meds. I'd abuse them. But everything you've just described, and Flower Cloud in the comments saying the same thing. Like, we all, as adults, we can all tell the same story, right? So here's my question that I want to kind of to kind of bring it and land it on this arsehole behind us. And I think I don't really have a question, but I think I do also, so I'm going to try. But my question is how dangerous, and so therefore it becomes rhetorical, but how dangerous is this kind of language? And look, I've got a stepdaughter, a middle child, and you talk about parenting in what you just said there. My eldest, she turns 21 at the end of the month. I will be live streaming from her 21st birthday, by the way. By the way, so make sure you lot turn up for that. She said playlist, it is fucking insane, and it's her 21st. So you know Pops is going to shut that motherfucker down. So make sure you lot are there. Friday the 29th, so Saturday the 29th of November, live on my Blood Clot TikTok. But now I've got younger kids, 10 and 5. So I'm able to, like, my story is similar to yours. You know, I'm back on my second wave of not drinking. I actually started drinking again on TikTok in my second era, because I've had 3 separate TikTok eras, and in the second era, that was characterized by me literally off camera drinking like Hennessy with ice and getting smashed on screen doing live for 4 hours till 2 in the morning. But no, what my point is that, you know, we can talk from a point of view of, and I'm imagining Flower Cloud as well. She said earlier that medication saved her life, and there's thousands of us that can have an adult story where we go, look, as kids we were told this, we were not diagnosed, we were, you know, told that we were talked too much, yada 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 yada. And now we can go, nah, they was wrong. But then when you have this, and I'm going to call him what he is, he's a P-rip, talking about, you know, and again, I think my middle one, for example, she heard, and I will probably play this to her, but she's going through it at the moment as well. If she heard this,
somewhere in her brain, and I know how her brain is, or I've got an idea of how her brain is working. She's going to hear that, and it's just repeating that thing over again. And the thing that really pisses me off about these lot is that, and you heard him say it in there, you know, oh, the normal kid. Well, find me a normal kid, dickhead. What does a normal kid look like? You fucking.
Yeah, the use of the word normal is just really ableist as well. By the way, like
Yeah.
that is completely like it's disgusting language to be used by a politician. And I genuinely believe, as a disabled person, so I have ADHD and I'm autistic. I've also got chronic fatigue syndrome, and I'm hypermobile. So I spend a lot of time.
What's hypermobile? What's hypermobile?
So like your joints like overextend.
Oh, okay.
You haven't got like your ligaments don't really hold your body together properly.
Oh, wow.
So it's like so hypermobile ehlers-danlos basically. It's like yeah. So my joints fall out of the sockets a lot. My neck feels like it can't hold my head up.
Jesus.
Like I have to lie down a lot during the day, and this is why I've worked for myself for a really long time. But that's for every aspect of my disability dictates that I work for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, I genuinely believe as a disabled person and the disabilities that disabled people go through, and my disabilities are not visible. No one would know that I'm in pain every day, for example. I don't look disabled. I am quite high function. I don't like this word high function.
High functioning, yeah, I don't.
A term that people understand. I'm quite with my ADHD and autism. As far as people can see, I'm very presenting a face to the world that I think is acceptable. I'm still doing that, you know, and I try and not do it as much as I used to. But dropping the mask is you know, I think I'll be attempting to take this mask down for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Because it's so ingrained into me, and it is. I think it especially is in girls. I genuinely believe that the people like him that, and I mean the government that we've got right now, even I think that they want disabled people to unalive in their masses. I honestly believe that they want us not here anymore because we are not seen as convenient to capitalism.
Yeah.
We're not as productive as they want us to be. We get support. I am productive and I offer a lot. I own a community interest company. I offer a lot to my community. I'm educated. I'm continuing my education. But in their eyes, I because on paper I'm disabled, they don't give a shit about me enough to do things to keep me alive. And I think that this rhetoric is going to instill in the next generation that they're not valuable enough to stay alive either.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what I was kind of going.
And that's what they want because we you know, they see anyone as not valuable in society, because then he's not just coming after here. Children are doubly vulnerable because they're children and they're neurodivergent.
Yeah.
So a neurodivergent child and a neurodivergent female child is triply vulnerable because she's also a girl.
And a neurodivergent female black child is Yeah.
All the intersections need to be considered here. And but you know, we are not people to these people. They don't care about us whatsoever, and especially not if you're disabled.
So what do you then? So what do you then say? Because you said you put a video up about it, and you would have obviously got replies. Because I know you get a lot of replies and a lot of people coming back at you with madness. But what do you say to people who, what we call it, the Venn diagram, who kind of meet on that Venn diagram where they're a reform voter because reform talk to them, but you know they're going through maybe their own struggles with neurodiversity and disability, or their children are. What do you kind of say to them sort of people?
I think that, well, to be honest, like I got responses from people saying I've got 7 children and I'm going to vote reform. I think that they're either lying or they hate their children. Like genuinely, because how could you not?
How could you not? How could you not? I know it's mad, isn't it?
Child and vote for a government that is fundamentally against them.
But not only against them, but comes out and literally says, like, you know, there will be thousands and thousands of kids yesterday who were wearing ear defenders in a classroom and at home, right across our societal spectrum, excuse the pun, there would have been thousands of parents who would have picked them kids up, who would say things like, I'm sorry to do the mockery, but I can't help myself. It's not a boat! There's a boat! Our kids are women! That would have actually said that in all, to them, good faith, whilst picking up little Tommy with his ear defenders. Or they will be saying, my fucking Tommy don't need ear defenders. So like you say, you either hate your kids or you're to me, I think is I don't think that mass.
I'm
What
inclined to think.
I don't think that mass amounts of people hate their kids. What I think is that mass amounts of people are indoctrinated to a level that they will overlook things that, like you say, affect them directly.
Yeah, I'm inclined to think that these people probably already ignore their child's needs because they are that kind of, like stop the boots kind of.
Do you
Like
believe
they
that?
are.
Do you believe that?
I think they probably
And
are
do you see that?
already.
Have you seen any of that? Have you ever seen that?
No, not really. I mean, not and probably on this app, yeah. Like people who, I don't know. The thing is, something that really annoys me is when people go, "Well, I've got an autistic child," and they don't act like that. Like it's a fucking spectrum. So
Yeah.
swear.
Nah, swear. It's fine. Swear.
It's a spectrum, and I like this like black and white thinking that people have got is really just an indication of the lack of intelligence in this country.
But do you think that? Sorry to interrupt you, but I'll let you carry on. But quick question: do you think that people like Tyson and Farage and Jenrick and Lee Anderson, do you think that they absolutely identify and understand that, and then use that like as a quite literally a tool?
Yeah, I think that they're using. I think that what they've done is they've got people on the hook with stop the votes, and now that message is so strong and it's been hammered down so much, and they've made this massive issue out of a really small number of immigrants.
Yeah,
really
small number. We spoke about that a lot yesterday, but you're right. It's such a small number.
Like that's the biggest. Like it's a huge problem. Like, I live really close to. I was in Costco. It was busy yesterday, but so I couldn't get in the box. But I wanted to say this because I live really close to a hotel that's housing immigrants, and it's mostly men. And I think it's actually very much mostly men in there.
Sorry, you got that wrong. It's don't forget to say it's fighting age men. Don't forget to get it right.
Yeah.
Fighting age.
They've integrated so well into the community. There's a community page, like on Facebook, where all of the community are coming together to support these men. And the issue that they've got now, because they've been there for about 18 months,
which is disgusting. Which is just disgusting.
Of the community that are against it, and there have been protests outside the hotel. But most of the people at the protest weren't even from the town that the hotel's in.
That's interesting. Okay.
Like we came over from Liverpool to protest outside a hotel on the Wirral. They've probably never been there before in their lives. And they've got nothing to none of business. But most of the community, it's a really nice town, and most of the community are really friendly.
Yeah.
And they've been doing like English lessons and baking and loads of different
So
activities.
really doing what is it that we're told that they don't do? Assimilate and integrate within the community, while simultaneously trying to better themselves.
Yeah, most of these people just want to, the younger men just want to have an education, and they come from a country where we've essentially decimated all of their universities, for example. They want to get an education, and they haven't, and everyone has got the right to an education. That's a fundamental human right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is the thing about people complaining that the immigrant children are getting English lessons. So first of all, do you want them to integrate or not? You just don't want English to even be their second language then. And as in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, all children are entitled to access an education. So whether they are here by irregular means or not, we as a nation are responsible for educating these children because they are here and they are children.
And also, sorry to point out something very what might be called socialist here. We create future functioning citizens that become properly assimilated across our diverse society. But no one bother thinking about that side of it. Let which way do you want it? But Ray. Sorry, go on, carry on. Finish off. Sorry, go on.
They literally just don't want them here. Is the short and long of it. So they will find any way to. So they'll criticise like a lack of integration, and then they don't want people to do things in order to help them integrate. But the big problem that we've got now, and I want everybody to think about this, that's got an immigrant hotel near them. A lot of people that have been here now are starting to get their status assessed, and I think it was about 80% of the men in the hotel near me are able to stay here.
Okay.
But that means that they're not going to be able to stay in the hotel, and they're not going to be priority for housing. So they're all going to be turned out of this hotel soon onto the street.
Yeah.
And it's winter. So that's what they're really worried about now. The people that are helping and the people that are volunteering in the hotel are really concerned. And if you have got a hotel near you and you are concerned that people are going to have to leave soon, they will need things like foil blankets, tents, scarves, hats, socks. If you have got a spare room and you do want to let someone stay with you, you want to foster an immigrant, because ultimately we don't want to add to the homelessness problem, and this is not the way to, like, you don't want to flee. You don't want people to flee persecution into persecution.
Yeah.
And that's how this feels.
It does, absolutely.
And that's how and I understand that we've got homeless people already. I've worked with homeless people for years in Liverpool. I know that exists already. But I also understand the complications behind, for example, homeless addicts that are offered housing and refuse it, or are offered hotels and can't stay in them because they can't smoke drugs in them. So, and I've been in a homeless hotel when I've been homeless, and I've been in that position myself, and I didn't necessarily want to be there. I wanted to be out and about doing what I wanted. So, you know,
it's a very complex situation. Yeah.
It's not as black and white as people want to make it out. Like, house the veterans. A lot of veterans don't want to be housed because they've got PTSD and they feel cooped up. It's so psychologically complex. But anyway, I've gone completely off topic.
No, you're good. No, because no. It's all comes under the same thing.
You know, the fundamental thing here is that Reform know that they have got people on the hook with immigration, and now they can attack all the other most vulnerable groups in society, including children, disabled people, black and brown people that already live here, that were born here. You know, the list goes on. So, you know, the elderly and all that. So,
it's everyone, but I think what's also happening, you're seeing this Labour government, like almost like, you know, the body blows to soften it up for when these arseholes come in for the knockout punch, because in just over a year, Labour have gone after the disabled, Labour have gone after the elderly, Labour have gone after young people, and now going after like you said, a very small number. I was just while we're here, I was talking yesterday, and I was saying that, okay, look, let's say, okay, so this announcement's happened, and in this parliament, which they won't, we know they won't, but let's just play along for a moment. Hello, Superfan Ames. One second. I've got to do the obligatory.
It's the Superfans.
Yes, my little soon-to-be diagnosed neurodivergent boy. Love him. Yeah, man, he's wicked. He loves it as well. He's like, just walk around going, "It's the Superfans. It's the Superfans." But anyway, yeah. So I was saying yesterday, okay, let's say they get some of this through, and you know, we crack down. So let's be realistic. We reckon, let's be over pessimistic and say we've got 1.3 illegals who've overstayed visas, which is the majority. We're then really talking about, at worst, 45, 50, 60,000 people coming across on boats. So let's say in this parliamentary cycle, we can solve that problem, right? Are we then going to say that we all go back to living in harmony and all our veterans are housed and no one's in hotels? Of course, and I'll swear because of my life. Of course we're fucking not. What we're going to?
Because the thing is, the money has been assigned for this, and there should have been money assigned for other categories of homeless people, for example, and for other issues that we've got in this country. Like, the money wouldn't be sucked back up from the immigrants if it stopped and everyone was sent home and allocated elsewhere. It just wouldn't. It's going to go into this black hole in the budget, isn't it?
And also making these lot are all going to make sure they're all right. First of all, that's the facts of it. Right, Ray, what do you say? Go on.
I saw a really interesting. Sorry, this is the last thing I want to say. I saw a really interesting statistic yesterday. I'll send you, or I'll put the picture up and tag you in it. In this country, per 1,000 people, we've got 6.5 immigrants per
which puts us 17th out of 44 countries in Europe.
So it's like we're like second from the bottom.
Yeah,
that's not
ridiculous.
Like based on, we take less because the country's small. I'm talking about per 1,000 people.
Per 1,000 people.
Country. So yeah, these people always want to go on per capita statistics. There you have it. Second lowest number of immigrants in this country.
And out of the big 5 European countries, Britain, France, Italy, Spain, and Germany, we take the fifth most. We're fifth on that list as well. And also, if you ask, people were polled the top things affecting the country and immigration polled second. When you polled that same group of people and asked what things affected them personally, immigration polled seventh.
Yeah,
So what the fuck are we arguing about and talking about here? We know what it's really about.
Like I've got a hotel near me,
Yeah.
and it's in the same town as my mum, so I'm there a lot as well. So it's like the next town to me, and it's in the same town as my mum. And you wouldn't know who an immigrant here on like an asylum status or refugee status, or whether they were an immigrant or whether they were born here.
I've asked people this question. Please come and tell me. Now, someone did come in and tell me that there's a hotel that's been regularly protested outside of, and there were people in there who committed SA offences, right? And I looked it up, and it was true. Okay, fine. Okay, no. You know, at the end of the day, that's fine. But I would also add to that. Then at the same time, in that same borough or whatever municipal area we're talking about, go and protest regularly all of the other S crimes around that area. Don't just focus it on.
I think the thing is, it's because they're in a group. For example, they're all being housed together in one place.
Yeah.
So you can say out of this one hotel, there is one sex offender. But if you were to get any given group of men together, then found a sex offender amongst them.
Like literally bound to be.
Of course there is. And so
it's bound to be, yeah. So true.
It's a way of scapegoating people. And I am, as a woman who has been assaulted, who has been sexually assaulted, and who's been physically assaulted by men, I am offended at this rhetoric because, first of all, it was white men that did it to me.
Yeah.
And second of all, don't use my pain to further your racist rhetoric. Don't use women's and children's pain to push a narrative here, because I'm scared, genuinely, and I said this to my son the other day, he's 20, and we talk about this kind of stuff a lot because it concerns him that women do feel fearful of men, and he's very respectful, and I have to explain to him that as women, if someone handed you a box of chocolates and told you that 50% of them were poisoned, you wouldn't eat any of them. You wouldn't eat any of them.
That's so tough. Yeah, so true. Which ironically is an argument that gets used by people who shout about immigrants. Well, if I gave you exactly what you just said, and it's just not the same thing at all.
We're talking here about all men. The problem of sexual assault and violence against women and children would not disappear at all, and it probably wouldn't even change very much at all.
Well, interestingly, I meant to say this yesterday, and I went off track, so I'll say it again. I was listening to a caller to James O'Brien, and he was a black guy that had lived in Denmark, and he said that basically Denmark had kind of enacted similar immigration rules to what we're talking about. Sexual assault went up.
Yeah, well, it's good, isn't it? Because at the moment they're distracted by
Of course it is. Exactly that, mate. Exactly that.
They need an outlet for their anger. These are emotionally dysregulated men who have been red pilled or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Very true.
Ultimately, the problem that we've got is men, and we can only hope that the next generation of men are not so violent towards women, and we can only educate our own children and the people around us. That's it.
I totally agree, but sadly, I think we'd have to buck a massive humankind trend. I see it getting worse. If I'm honest, I see it.
The young white boy sees his white parents complaining about immigrants and brown people and saying that they are committing these offences.
Yeah.
And they don't mention ever the white men that do it. Does the white boy think it's okay for him to grow up and do it then? Because nobody talks about it when we do it.
There's a question. Yeah, but that's an interesting. Yeah. Do you know what? I never thought of it that way, but that's actually got a lot of truth with it. And it's not the same thing. And I'm being going to tread carefully here because it is kind of family thing. But I was at a family event last week. There was a young boy who's just passed out from the army. I've only met him twice, and he's 18. And during the conversation, obviously it came up, and he said, "Oh, don't get me started on immigrants." So I turned to his uncle, who's close to me, I said, that's a bit mad. He goes, yeah, he weren't likely to join the army, to come out of the army, and here he is. And it's the reason I brought that up is because you can just see how easy, like these very impressionable, again, against the backdrop of austerity and very few opportunities, and you know, I don't.
I've made content about this as well, about the propaganda in the army. Anyway, like there is, they advertise diversity, but actually, systemically, it's going to produce people who have that train of thought.
Yeah.
And I saw an interesting video the other day, and it was like, you know, these like street reporters where they go up to an immigrant in the street and basically pretend to be friendly, but then they start harassing them.
Yeah, these harassing grifter wankers that I really want to become the antithesis of. Trust me.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like the biggest ick I've got. But anyway, they went up to this guy and they started questioning him, and he said, I'm a soldier. His English was very poor, and he said, I'm a soldier. And they went, soldier, who are you fighting for? And he said, I fought with the British Army against the Taliban. And then they started being nice to him. But honest to God, they were ready to attack him, and thought, right, okay, so now he's an all right brown man now.
Yeah.
Taliban with us. And, you know, this, like, that narrative needs to stop and change. You know, it's just
fighting men.
And I do think that we've got, like, inequality is like there's three sort of like tiers to inequality, but they all intersect with each other. So there's like formal inequality, transformational inequality, and substantive inequality. And transformative inequality is like sorry, substantive inequality is like where the system needs to change. Formal inequality is what's happening on the street, basically, the inequality that we